What's up, guys? Koma here, and today we are going to be talking about the brand new Splitgate 2 Battle Royale. So I'm going to go over pretty much, everything that you can do in the BR, what's interesting, what to take note of, and just my overall thoughts at the end. So let's just kind of jump right into it, so y'all understand. If you're looking for answers, you'll probably understand just everything after the end of this video. So it functionality, it is just the usual BR format with random crates, weapons, equipment, armor, and portal gun rarities. It does mix in arena shooter elements. So if you think about the takedown game mode, where if you die, you get a respawn timer, and you can continue to respawn as long as your team isn't wiped. You can think of it the exact same way. Um, if you do die, you can respawn on a teammate that you're spectating, unlike in Takedown, where you respawn at a random point on the map, depending on where your enemies are. If an enemy is in combat that you're spectating, excuse me, you will actually spawn on a safe teammate instead, if possible. I don't know what's wrong with me right now. Anyway, unlike other BRs, this game's map is actually based on 5 different maps, one of which is always accessible from a portal on each map. So the Sanctum is the only map that opens to the players on a delay, but holds a ton of loot and is risky to gamble to fight over. So a lot of people actually just land green and then go into Sanctum as soon as possible to then try to reap the rewards. At the beginning of each match, the ship will fly through each map, so Glacier, Fracture, Inferno, and Drought, at a random order, of which one map will at least be considered the hot drop. The hot drop just has more loot. That's pretty much all it is. Each map is connected to 3 other maps via the large portals. So, for example, Glacier and Fracture are directly connected to Drought and Inferno, as well as Sanctum, which of course opens on a delay as mentioned before. And the same goes vice versa, so Drought and Inferno are instead linked to Glacier and Fracture and Sanctum as a result. At random, a world will close. This causes the ring to push players towards whatever is the safest world. So if you're on Fracture, for example, the game can push you towards Drought, Inferno, or Sanctum. Sanctum isn't always the final location, so it is just random. There are a total of 3 rounds. 2 worlds close on both round 1 and round 2. Round 3 results in the final world pushing the final battles. So when you die, you drop all of your loot and you get turned into this little hologram pad. Teammates can walk over and hold interact on the pad and revive you. Additionally, you can press interact to pick up your down teammate's pad and carry it to a safer location. It is worth noting that when you do this, you do lose all functionality in being able to shoot. So it's essentially like you're holding a split ball, or even if you pick up a teammate in like PUBG, for example. If you do die and aren't revived, you would respawn on a teammate with the loadout you selected before dropping in. You also respawn with full armor with a rarity lower of what you died with. We'll cover rarities here in a moment. Looting is very straightforward, however. You can open crates and take the items within. Crates also upgrade throughout the rounds and refresh, so make sure to keep opening crates as you to get better gear. Items are spawned randomly, besides the credits you ought to pick up, and there is always a guaranteed random primary weapon in each chest. Speaking of credits, the shop is also very straightforward. You obtain credits from opening crates, killing enemies, or finding them on the ground, and then you use them at the shop. However, only one shop spawns at a random location in each map, so you will have to fight over it. The shop sells a single power weapon, random equipment, weapon attachments, armor, and armor plates. As a side note, you can purchase more than one of a specific equipment and it'll upgrade your rarity up to blue. It's also worth noting that if you die with credits, you will lose 50 each time you die. World events. Speaking of shops and worlds, there are 5 unique world events that can occur. World events happen either when the Sanctum opens or when worlds begin to close. Each world seems to have its own unique event occur when triggered. The only current events that happen right now are double damage, which is self explanatory. It essentially doubles all damage dealt. Portal EMP, which disables portal walls and your portal guns, so you can't portal. Time Bubble doubles all speed, as far as we're aware. So this includes bullets, projectiles, reload, any animation really, and movement speed. Um, Fire Sale, which essentially makes the shot 50% off, and Drop Frenzy, which basically allows multiple airdrops to drop into the world for a certain period of time. Moving on to rarities, a big important to BR is typically the weapon rarities, armor, and whatever else falls under the gameplay category. The list of rarities goes as the following: common is white, uncommon green, rare is blue, and then these are kind of what I came up with, but ultra rare is purple and legendary is orange. Some items have rarity increase every time you pick up another copy. More of that in a moment. Weapon rarities are determined randomly and depending on the number of attachments. Common weapons only have one attachment, meanwhile, legendary weapons have all five attachments. It's also worth noting pistols only have a total of three attachments and never go beyond the blue rarity. Power weapons, such as the Fubar, BFB, Gravitas, Borealis, Splitstream, and the Dult Bolt, are always legendary in difficulty, and you cannot pick up ammo for them even if you walk over a copy of the weapon. As for portals, you start with limited portals, four to be exact. When you place the portals, your portals will recharge over time. Each portal gun upgrade picked up will always increase by 2, so maxing out your portals at 12 with the legendary rarity. Fun fact, picking up a portal gun upgrade refreshes all of your portals, so you can then continue to portal if necessary. Armor. So armor has no different functionality wise than any other shooters with similar armor systems. Higher rarity armor means better defense. You will always land with carbon armor and all three plates. If you die and respawn, you will respawn with an armor rarity lower than what you died with and three additional plates. Armor is always separated into three plates, and if you are damaged but still have a portion of a plate, that plate will regenerate much like your health. Armor also acts much like the portal gun upgrade. Each armor picked up will increase your armor rarity by 1. As a side note, picking up an armor upgrade doesn't replenish armor. Perks. You will always drop in and respawn with the perks your loadout had. You can find more perks for your specific faction as you open crates. Perks cap out when you have every possible perk for your faction. If you die and respawn, you will still have your perks, whatever you had obtained, and of course the ones from your loadout. Equipment. So equipment rarity is determined randomly when open crates or even sometimes airdrops. And when it comes down to what the equipment rarity does, is all that I know is it reduces your cooldown between uses. So actively in the gameplay you're seeing here, I'm throwing down this time dome and I have roughly 5 to 6 second cooldown in between. So it's a drastic thing that actually helps you during gameplay. So you can see me just throwing down this time dome, and it is extremely helpful. It's very helpful in just speeding up a lot of stuff when it comes down to the time dome, but this should be global across all the different equipment. So even the shock disc should have this low of a cooldown. Now, my overall thoughts of this VR is I really do like how these matches flow and how quick they are. They're only somewhat longer than your arena games, which average around 10 to 12 minutes. I do think the credit system is somewhat lackluster, as obtaining them can be annoying, and when you die, you lose 50. So if your team is in a very long fight with another team, so you're constantly dying and respawning, and it's just kind of a war of attrition, chances are you're going to lose a good chunk of the credits that you've pretty much tried to fight to keep. I think an additional thing to that, I think maybe having some vending machines around the map that have like three random items that you can spend credits on would be nice, so you don't always have to fight over the shop, as it's kind of like a hotspot. That and just kind of gives you another choice of where to spend credits and not needing to cross a map, especially when it's closing to access the shop. I think another quality of life would just be picking up an armor grade replenishes a single armor plate. I've noticed that picking it up doesn't replenish your armor, which I feel like is kind of a letdown in a way. I think another nice feature would probably allow players to pick up credits from crates opened by teammates, only because one person can obtain credits from crates when opened. Enemies shooting should also be exposed on the compass that are currently only exposed on the radar. And speaking of radars, can we get a buff for the recon radar in BR? It feels extremely useless right now as the range is very limited, and considering how zoomed out the radar is in the BR, it doesn't help it at all. But overall, this is probably my favorite iteration of the battle royale genre. It mixes in some really nice quality of life stuff in terms of the arena shooter elements. I do really look forward to how they hope to expand on this. I would assume that also means that they could potentially rotate out each world, so to speak. So they could replace Glacier with a new Onslaught map, or replace Inferno with another Onslaught map, or just in place Sanctum as a whole, which would be really interesting. But overall, I hope this video was informative and something very interesting for maybe something here you actually found out. So hope this video is informative one way or another. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. So feel free to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to come back for more content, ring the bell, and I will talk to y'all next time. Adios.